Hey guys, so this is part 2 of the crazy comeback story that I recently had. If you haven't seen part 1, make sure to check that out first. And here in part 2, we're gonna cover the last 3 trades that are yet to be covered. And yeah, let's get right into it. So this is the next trade, 30th of June, actually my birthday. I had the balls to take a trade on my birthday. For our chart, as always, we begin with, so here again, you see it's basically always I do the same. We have high time frame liquidity sweep. This is an inducement low that we clearly sweep here and tap into high time frame point of interest, which in that case is not a supply or demand, but simply a fair value gap here between these two wicks. So we have a very nice picture again, liquidity swept and POI mitigated, and we get a nice confirmation on the lower time frame. So we have this, you see it again, right? You see how the sellers in that case run out of steam, run out of breath here, don't put the pressure on anymore. And once that fair value gap is mitigated, strong rejection, strong push out, closing above 8 million previous structure points, then even giving a second leg. I was already thinking about executing here, but then we had a confirmation second leg. This was also very clean on M15. You see the M15 fair value gap here, and I ultimately decided to just take it from as a limit order on the M15 fair value gap. I was having a humble target here, just 1R actually. This I don't know if I would have taken it with that RR again. I think next time I would take it for 1.5R at least, but in that case I decided to just not risk getting missed, and I was just so confident we're gonna at least run up to this M15 supply. This was my target. I thought after such a strong move from such a nice high time frame confluence, we're gonna at least run up to the next M15 supply, which is here. And this also lines up very nicely with this clear inducement target here. For sure we're gonna come higher here, I thought. So I settled for very low RR here actually. I just wanted to be in a good trade, and this was a very good trade. So in terms of confluence, so just 1 RR, but very likely to play out, and basically was in profit almost from the first moment. Gave a little entry retest here, so if you go break even here, well, you have to read price better, I think, because you see how it just sweeps the inducement to make a higher high. It's just how price moves. And ultimately, it rejected my TP by like 1 pip twice, so I decided to just close it here and move on with my birthday. And this actually took way longer until it hit TP, so I actually saved myself a lot of stress of looking at the charts on my birthday, so perfect decision here. Nice and handsome profit. Let's move on to the next trade. So trade number 3. So we are still on GU. This is the 8th of July 2025. And guess what? It's the same play. We have a high time frame for our structure liquidity sweep, tapping into these tinier, smaller fair value gaps. So you see how strong that is as an area. It's a huge daily fair value gap. And so it's a point of interest. So again, high time frame liquidity swept, high time frame point of interest mitigated. It's always the same. And waiting for the confirmation on the low time frame. What was nice on for this trade is that we had a nice buyer's trap here, broken, swept already. So early buyers were already stopped out here. Here as well, if you want to see that as a trap. So people got stopped out already, and we have nice bearish order flow. So this was just due to become a seller's trap now, because the markets mostly trap both sides once during a session, and the sellers haven't been trapped here yet. So I thought, okay, this is very nicely aligning for longs, and I was aggressive here with my entry, because we have, if you want to see that as a structural high, of course we have a break of structure if you count that, but you know, you see that this is very edgy. Like, do you really want to call that as a break of structure? I don't know, man. So technically this wasn't breaking the clearer structure yet, and still I took the trade because we had a first leg and a second leg, so we had switched order flow, and just from a high time frame perspective, I was just confident that this was due for a bullish break of structure and a move higher. So you actually see 2 positions here. This is the funded account trade, or the trade that I took as a funded account trade. With reduced risk, because I was conscious that this was riskier than what I normally do. You see that normally my stop losses are not that tiny compared to the session range, right? So this was an aggressive, by my standards, aggressive entry. So I took it only with half risk, and I'm zero mad that I didn't profit twice as much because I cut my risks on, because I had valid reasons for that. So I was totally calm about that. We have this as an inducement. We sweep the inducement. I see the tiny rejection forming, instantly market executed. And it instantly followed through, gave the breakup structure that I was anticipating anyway. And I just targeted quick 2R here on the funded account, just to make sure that bears don't take over. I don't really like holding past 2R on the funded account just to bank my profits and get a payout, you know. And I also took that with a little, I don't remember if I took it with normal risk or reduced risk on the challenge. I honestly don't remember, but I held it longer. I think it was reduced risk as well. But just to get it past, I basically held this trade longer because I was expecting a move into the supply anyway. So I just kept holding that on the challenge account. And it was nicely following through, nice price action. We create a demand, create the inducement, sweep the inducement, respecting the demand, strong push out again. So this trade was perfectly valid still. And in the end, I just closed it here before market rollover for almost full TP. So this almost passed me a challenge. I somehow passed it the next day on another trade. By the way, the trades that I'm covering here are only the ones that I pass, that I use to get payouts, basically. I have an alternative, I wouldn't say strategy, but I'm a little more lenient with some things on challenge accounts just to get my volume up. I sacrifice a little bit of my edge by being more lenient with some things, but my trade frequency is so much higher, you know. So even though the edge is smaller in that way that I'm trading these challenges, I just make up with it easily by volume, you know. And even if I blow the odd challenge, I don't care anymore, because now I have the funding to be able to afford that, you know. So that's why you don't see every challenge trade that I take here, but only the A+ setups, which is the best way of teaching you anyway. So I just wanted to get that out there. Ultimately, I passed the challenge. I almost passed it here, and next day I passed it with another trade that was a little more aggressive. So in the end, let's just fast forward this. I don't know why it doesn't do it. Ah, here, 10x. So I think this was ultimately hitting TP and was ultimately coming into this supply, which was my original theory. This was actually the more aggressive trade that I took to pass it. And yeah, ultimately, I think we came in here. Let's get, yeah, whatever, doesn't matter. So let's jump to the next trade. And yeah, for this time, this is going to be another pair here. This is going to be AUD USD. So I'll catch you in a second. So fourth trade that we covered today, sixth trade of my current 6 winning streak. Let's go. We are on the 4-hour chart as always, and you see it's again the same thing. We sweep these two inducement lows here clearly, and then we come lower to mitigate this bottom imbalance here on the 4-hour. That was a very nice imbalance here. So we have the high time frame liquidity sweep, high time frame POI mitigation. That together is already so strong. And if the lower time frame confirms the readiness of change of direction, then we have a perfect trading setup. So here see session opens bullish, perfect. That is a nice trap. So for early buyers, we stop all the early buyers out with this news candle. This was a news candle, which I always like to be reswept before I get involved. But in this case, I didn't insist on it because it was a regular sized candle. It was not that obvious news candle that you see, oh my God, that must have been a news event, you know. So I was okay with not seeing this as news liquidity dragging the price to my stop loss in that case, because it was just a regular sized candle. So that was fine for me in the context of this. And what happens after is a nice push out, break of structure, order flow now confirmed, order flow switched bullish, and then we have another nice second leg, new fair value gap, so 2 consecutive fair value gaps. That's what I love to see. Break of structure above this. This is also an M15 break of structure here. Not a close one, not the most beautiful one in the world, but it is one. M15 tiny fair value gap here as well. So everything lining up, and I really liked that we didn't take session liquidity before my entry. That was also a reason why I took this trade. If this would have swept London already, this would have been a little more dangerous, but even with session liquidity wading into profit here, this was a perfect trade to take in my opinion. By the way, I couldn't take this on the funded account because I was still waiting for my payout. And yeah, so this was only taken on my FTMO challenge. I forgot to mention all the ACG, Alpha Capital Group certificates. On top of that, I passed the phase 1 on FTMO, and my phase 2 is in 4% profit. I just need 1% more. So this on top makes it even a tiny bit crazier, man. So on the FTMO phase 2, I took this trade, and yeah, nicely broke structure again, closing above London high, nice little sign of strength here. And then we just continued rising higher nicely. So my target here was a little tricky because this is a 1 hour supply. When we see here on the 4 hour, yes, we touched this imbalance, but we are now also fighting this huge 1 hour imbalance, tapping into this 1 hour supply that broke structure. So this is a valid supply. So this, if this trade for some reason comes back, it's because of that, okay? So here I was already dragged my stop loss, I think, until here at that point, just to secure at least some profits. No, I remember, I had my stop right here, under this here, to at least secure 1 hour. But it held actually the demand and retested the highs here. So I was still believing in this coming higher. And this ultimately just continued giving nice bullish order flow until just before market closure here. This is actually, I was so close to TP that I was actually dragging my stop loss here. So this actually stopped me out here. So this would have been the phase 2 past. And with the drag stop loss, I'm now at 4% instead of 5% profit, which is fine. I'm gonna pass it someone later. And yeah, just, it's dangerous to force hold a trade just to pass your challenge, just to reach a specific balance in your account when you know you're in an opposite POI. This can easily full steam reverse price. So it was the only logical thing to aggressively drag the stop loss, especially when you pass 2R, which was here. This was more or less 2R. So I was okay with dragging it super aggressively. So yeah, I think I managed that perfectly, that trade, and I'm very happy with the outcome. And that's it, guys. I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Take care.